we go.
Blog Talk Radio.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Crossfire the Crusader, and welcome to the second show of Superhero Academy. On the air with me today, I've got our lovely assistant, the Golden Valkyrie, is here today, representing Silver Sentinel and the Silver Seal. And I'm waiting for our call in from our visiting professor, and I think this may be him now. Area code 651. You're on Superhero Academy.
Hey, buddy. It's RAZORHAWK. How's it going?
Hey, RAZORHAWK.
Hey.
I was getting worried there. I thought maybe I gave you the wrong time.
No, I was trying to get a few things done before I could call in, and
that's more than all right.
One of those days.
This week, RAZORHAWK is going to be our visiting professor because we're here to talk about creative fundraising for charities and, of course, Hope 2011. Now, RAZORHAWK, I'm going to just give the floor to you. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about Hope 2011, what's going on, what you want to see it do, where you want to go with this, and just kind of fill us all in on what's going on with it.
Okay. Well, let's see. Hope 2011 came upon me originally from this current year being out in San Diego for Comic-Con, and Mr. Extreme from the Extreme Justice League was the one who had set up a homeless outreach for the weekend, which was attended by myself, Thanatos, Good Samaritan, Vigilante Spider, and Urban Avenger. Also, Peter Tangen was there, and Citizen Prime, DC's Guardian, were all a part of the event. And it went so well, and at the same time we sat at the end of it looking at how much we'd given out, and there were still so many people that needed help that when I got back home from there, I thought, we need to do something even bigger next time where we can, help people instead of just giving them water and crackers like we did this year. So I figured I better start planning in advance instead of waiting until, June or July and starting planning then, because I wanted to, the main thing I wanted to do is I wanted to put together backpacks full of supplies that the people could use. And instead of just food, crackers and water, I wanted to give them something that would last them for a while as well, because you never know how long somebody is going to be in this situation. So that was the reason to start planning early.
Well, I've been watching. It seems like you've gotten a lot done, and there's still a long way to go. We got two more callers in. Let me bring them in. I believe we have Midnight Detective and Skyman. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Hello.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Skyman.
Hello.
Hello,
Welcome.
How you guys doing this afternoon?
Doing great. It's been quite an interesting week here in the real-life superhero community, especially online, hasn't it?
Very.
We got RAZORHAWK online tonight, and what we're talking about is some creative fundraising. One of the staples of the real-life superhero community is helping the homeless, helping those in need, raising funds for charity. We've got the bright costumes and the enthusiasm. We try to use that to better the world around us, and one of the best ways we can do that is by, trying to figure out how to channel money and resources into people in situations that need it. Hope 2011 is RAZORHAWK's effort he's been working on for a few weeks now, maybe a couple months now, to do a massive homeless outreach at Comic-Con next year. And I believe that they were having a coordinated effort with that in cities around the country for those that can't make it. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're trying to get some people. This was atavistic, and the elusive value cards idea was to kind of get something going in many cities and many states, kind of going back to what All-Star was trying to do with raising money for the Gulf. And basically it was just a matter of waiting for me to get the concept, because atavistic already had it about doing it with hope, and having people in, New York or Florida or wherever who weren't going to be making it out to San Diego could actually do things in their town at the exact same time and make a larger impact around the country. And so basically right now, I guess the way it's set up, I'm the one that's coordinating the San Diego event, as well as making sure that when people say they're going to be out there, that I add them to the list and we know who's going to be out there. And then atavistic is posting about ideas of how to get everybody in other cities and states together, and then we'll try to have them sign up so that we know who's going to be doing what where. But I still have to do a couple things involving that, with putting together a press release and a flyer as well. I haven't had a chance to get to those yet.
But you do have a website set up yet, don't you?
For the main event, yes. And I haven't done anything to include the secondary event, I guess is what I'd call it. But yeah, there is the website for the main, and it gets the main information across to people who may not know about it. And it's also a place where people can, put in donations.
What's that URL?
It is.
What are some of you're raising money for Hope 2011?
What was that?
What are some of the methods you're using to solicit the donations to raise the funds for Hope 2011?
Well, right now they've been primarily the asking people for donations, the information on the website, which is at hope2011.info. And it also offers a place where people can go and click on a donate button to donate the money. Or we also have a cafe press shop up where people can go and purchase. They can also get there from the website to purchase a T-shirt that says Hope 2011 and has the event information on it. And any T-shirt or whatever, we've got like multiple different products on it. So whatever people do buy off of the site, $10 goes directly to the event. And we're also contacting a couple places or companies directly as far as getting items donated. DC's Guardian has someone who is contacting places that have backpacks, or manufacture backpacks, I should say, to get those donated. I've been trying to contact some manufacturers of sleeping bags to try to get sleeping bags donated. And I've also been approaching different companies that may not have things physically that would help us, but could, possibly offer some monetary donations that we could use for the products that we need. And I've been looking into some charity funds, such as I can't think of his name right now, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, trying to get involved with some of the funding that they have available. I have been trying to get the event posted as Pepsi Refresh to try to raise funds that way as well. And then I do have business cards that I do pass around to people on the streets, and also when Hero Gear makes an order and sends it out, I have a Hope 2011 business card that I send out with it to try to get people who are outside of our community to see it, because a lot of the business at Hero Gear is outside of the community. It's people that are going to conventions or people that have kids, or sometimes there are businesses that have us make stuff for business mascot. So I try to make sure cards go out with those so that they learn about the event. And that's pretty much the avenues I've been hitting with this one. I've done things in the past, and I may do them again as we get a little further along and I finally get things straightened out back at the office, where I may offer something from Hero Gear as a incentive for donations. We did that with Sword Cane when he was really down and out. He still is, but when he was having the possibility of losing his apartment, we put together some I Love Sword Cane patches and sold them for $5 a shot, and then the whole whatever donation came in for it went directly to him and his family. So we may look into doing something like that coming up. And then I have also gone to at least one local comic book convention and went in uniform and passed out cards and passed out flyers. They also, the company that was running the convention, whenever they would send out an email to the people that were on their email list, it would always have a little link and a blurb about what we were doing on it, because they knew that I was going to be out at the convention doing this. And they let me put stuff up on the freebie table that you can, go up and grab free posters and stuff. They let me put up flyers there as well.
Sounds like you
I
got
have
a
a
lot more to
question.
get to. Go ahead. Go ahead, question.
This is Skyman. How come we haven't wanted to partner with any national organizations that have funding that do this type of thing, like Goodwill Industries, the Salvation Army, or United Way?
Simply because we haven't gone into anything like that. I haven't said no to anything like that. I just haven't. That's not the level I've been working on directly, and no one's suggested anything like that to me.
I just did.
Well, now. So here, okay. Can I put you on hold while I call Goodwill? I'll be right back. No, I mean I have no problem with getting help that way, but obviously they have things that are going on.
Of course.
That they're donating stuff to, and right now too, especially we're looking at the holiday season, and Goodwill and Salvation Army are both doing a lot of things for Toys for Tots, or collecting jackets
we could
and
look
blankets.
into that.
We could, but
Right
I haven't done it yet. So
I was just throwing it out there.
Oh no, it's a great idea. I just hadn't really thought about it, to be totally honest. I was looking,
Nice.
Well, I was looking at it on the level of us trying to do everything, pretty much myself.
Please?
I mean, not getting a big group involved like that.
Of course, we don't want sponsorship or anything, but hey, money helps.
Yeah, but see, I think the thing with me, it's kind of awkward, especially when it comes to the Salvation Army, because I'm not a big supporter of the Salvation Army, and that is because when you donate money to the Salvation Army, 30% of that goes to pay people that work for them. And
then scratch Salvation Army. How about United Way?
I don't know anything about them.
Wouldn't it be more like you're asking the charity group to give you money? They're using their funds for other things as well.
Right.
So it's kind of like going up to the beggar asking for his table scraps.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd just be more resourceful.
We've got another caller coming in. Let me get this other caller in here. I do believe we have Silver Sentinel. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm listening to the show while I'm at work.
You're the greatest guy in the whole galaxy.
Where do you come from?
Thanks for saying that.
So are you going to play that every time Silver comes on the show?
I think that's his tagline. But, how many superheroes have we got that have fought live bears?
No, I caught part of the conversation there, and I heard what Superhero was saying. And when you're dealing with your own group, you're able to plan things more specifically. There's less complication. When you're trying to coordinate with a larger group like United Way or whatever, there's a lot of things that those groups have to go through and approve before they can actually work with you. I believe that Executrix went through a great deal of paperwork that she had to deal with when she was organizing her zombie walk because she was going to another charity, and there's just a tremendous amount of paperwork there. And, Superhero and those guys, from what I understand, they organize these things, they get everything set up, they go out and they do this, and they do a tremendous job. And I think that, that would kind of be a little more difficult for them to pull off if they had to jump through additional hoops. It's just hard enough to get 5 people together on their own time in order to be able to do things.
All right.
I think they're doing a tremendous job on their own.
Yeah, and I think Silver kind of, I forgot to announce this earlier, those of you who called in tonight or listening today expecting to hear Superhero, we had a scheduling difficulty. He's going to be back with us probably in 2 weeks, and today we've got RAZORHAWK in this place. We're talking about Hope 2011. Of course, I'm Crossfire, and RAZORHAWK is our visiting professor today. Silver, since I got you on the line, I'm going to leave it up to you and Val to decide which one's going to do our Silver Seal of Approval this week.
That had better be me. I mean, he went through all the preparation just to get me the info I needed.
Yes, and I'm not one of the household, so it's going to be Golden Valkyrie for the win.
So, but now and before we get into some of the creative fundraising ideas that I got one that I want to throw out on the table and talk about, and I'm sure everybody else has some ideas. Before we get into that, I'd like to go on ahead and hear who is this week's winner of the Silver Seal of Approval. We're going to skip the music because we're still having some technical difficulties there.
Okay, this week's Silver Seal recipient is none other than Thanatos, the Dark Avenger. Thanatos has done tremendous work helping the homeless and taking care of people on the streets. He brings professionalism and compassion together in both his normal career and his costumed activities. Thanatos has been a very influential part of the heroic community and is one of the many driving forces behind more and more heroes doing outreach and charity. He is a man of integrity and greatly respected.
Congratulations.
Definitely. Definitely. I couldn't pick a better winner myself.
And it seems fitting for what we're discussing today.
Very.
It definitely does. I want to go into some ideas for creative fundraising here. Of course, before then, I have completely skipped my own accountability. I didn't take a step over into the drop zone. Anybody else wants to join me is welcome. But this week in the drop zone, if you remember last week, I went from 366 to 364. I am down to 362 this week, another 2 pounds and 4 pounds total. Anybody else that's joining me in the drop zone this week?
Sure. I lost 6 pounds this past week.
Go Skyman. Or is this Skyman or Midnight?
Skyman, only because of the activities I took on this past 72 hours.
Definitely. And we're probably going to talk about that one. You're talking about the Rain City Superheroes?
Phoenix Jones, yes, sir.
Yes, I've actually been talking to him on Facebook and wanting to find out more about him. And as things unfold, we may get him on here one week and just chat it out and let everybody get a chance to know him, because he seems like an interesting person if nothing else.
I don't think he would appreciate this venue, but I will suggest it to him.
He actually has said he's supposed to be listening today. I haven't heard from him by name on here, but told me on Facebook he would be listening.
Nice.
So if you're out there, Phoenix Jones, big shout-out from Superhero Academy. Welcome, and we look forward to talking to you sometime. Now, moving on to the second part of our topic, with Hope 2011 coming up and individual events throughout the country, we're all going to be looking at ways to raise money to help, buy bottled waters, buy backpacks, buy stuff that's needed. Of course, there's creative ways to pick up things. Thanatos, kind of funny you brought him up. I was reading where he had found a nursing home that was going out of business, and they donated all their blankets to him. And he went and loaded up this van load of blankets and went out in the street and did this massive blanket handout to the homeless people, which I thought that was just awesome. And, of course, it got me to thinking, working in the motel business, one thing I've noticed is that people always leave blankets and jackets and stuff like that in the lost and found, and they will sit there for decades until you get ready to clean out your closet and that. If we were looking for handouts for the homeless, one area to start in would be go to the hotels and say, do you have some blankets that are comforters or whatever that are torn that you can't use on the beds anymore? Do you have some lost and found blankets and or coats that you want to get rid of? And collecting up that stuff could be taken out to the homeless. Another area, which this past summer I did an interesting event. It was a community rummage sale for a young lady named Madison Lanway. Maddie is a precious 4-year-old girl here in Arkansas who had developed stage 3 cancer. She's just a sweetheart. And I found out about it through a friend of a friend and contacted him and said, look, here I am. All my delusions of grandeur, whatever you're going to call it, I'm a superhero, I'm a clown, I'm whatever, but I want to help out here and help raise some money to help pay for these medical bills for this young lady. And I said, I can't afford to give $50. But it's my belief that everybody I know can come up with $50 worth of yard sale items. And so we started collecting yard sale items, and we got donations, and we filled my van and our shed. And one of my friends, what's the name, Captain Halo or Levion, you might know on the line, he came all the way from Illinois with a van load of stuff down here in Arkansas. And we had this 2-day yard sale and raised $1,000 for this young lady.
Wow.
And
wow.
What happened, we got a friend of mine has a band. They came and did a concert that night. Another friend of mine is a DJ, and we set up and did karaoke all day, both days, there on the stage at the park. And we set up tables at the park. And we started out filling tables, filled about 8 to 10 tables. And as fast as we would empty a table, somebody would show up with another van and fill it back up. And people would come shop, and they would spend $20 to $50 to $100. And they would say, would you mind if I brought some more stuff back? and they'd come back with 2 or 3 boxes of stuff, more than they actually bought, and lay on the tables and leave. And we actually ended up with more stuff to sell at the end of the sale than we had at the beginning of the sale, and we donated all that to the family for another yard sale down the road. And it's that kind of outside of the box thinking that I'm looking for from everybody today. If you were going to raise money for Hope 2011, what could you do? Could you do? I mean, this yard sale idea of mine. We went on to Craigslist, to the free section, and said, if you have a yard sale stuff that you want to get rid of, if you have a garage that wants cleaned out, we went on to freecycle.org. Freecycle.org, if you are not familiar with it, is a wonderful, wonderful program. It's in most cities in the United States or counties, and it's where if you have something you don't want, you go onto the Yahoo group or to the Freecycle site, and you list, I've got a blender that I'm not using, and I would like to give it to somebody. And somebody says, you know what, I need a blender, and they contact you, and you make arrangements to give it to them. I've gotten a freezer like this where we needed a freezer. I traded off my camping equipment to somebody that needed it, and got a whole mess of donations for the yard sale through Freecycle. And like I said, we were able to hand the family $1,000, or a little over $1,000. It was around, I think it was around $1,044, something to that effect. And there's probably 3 truckloads of yard sale items still sitting there. And at the same time, we had the band, we had the DJ, we had the clowns come out from the Shriners. Myself and Captain Halo or Le'Veon were in costume out there, and other people showed up in costume. We took all these pictures and had them sent to the young lady, because like a 4-year-old doesn't understand $1,000, but she understands when somebody throws a party for her. So we let her see pictures of the party we threw to support her.
Good, because I want to get some alcohol. I gotta put that phone call.
So
I'm just at the car check. I'm ready to leave.
how about Val? You still there?
Good. That is on good.
Golden Valkyrie?
Yes, I'm still here. Sorry. I couldn't hear you over all the jumble.
I think I put everybody to sleep. What's your thoughts on some creative ideas for fundraising here? I know Jack's put out some, and I kind of shared my little experience there. Well, what's your ideas? If you were going to try and raise some money for Hope 2011 or for some other charities, what might you, something different you might think about?
Well, it may not be entirely different, but everybody knows that, well, a lot of people know that I have some pretty good brownies. Jack could probably vouch for me. I think I would probably I think I'd probably try and organize a bake sale.
Please.
So, I mean, that would...
Bake sales are a time-honored tradition there.
Yep, and they work fairly well. So, you know, and plus I think
if I make Golden Valkyrie brownies.
Yes, the famous Golden Valkyrie brownies. I could probably raise a couple $100,000 with those alone.
And they're 100% legal.
Well, maybe.
They're just more addicting than you might think.
You take mail orders.
Might be. I'm 360 pounds. I know how addictive brownies can be.
I would order a tray right now.
How about you, Scott? I mean, you got any ideas? What would you do if you right now, if you had to sit down and say, I'm going to do this to raise some money for Hope 2011, what would you throw out on the table?
Sure. I could go back to my college classes and put out a little donation thing, because in college, I know us college kids are always broke, but we're always looking for ways to give back to the community, and I could create a one-day event that would promote Hope 2011. I might come in gimmick class or on campus and promote it and have the website up on the PowerPoint and suggest that people donate and see how that goes.
That's definitely, sometimes we got to think outside the box. I mean, we do this because we enjoy it. I mean, we don't try to put any altruistic mumbo jumbo.
We can have as many delusions of grandeur and be as altruistic as we can be, but in the words of Superhero, I do this because it's hella fun.
Exactly. We do it because it's fun. You know, we could do what we do without the costume. I mean, and I've done it without.
I don't know. I do it because I look good doing it.
I look more than good. I look awesome when I'm in gimmick.
Gimmick.
For Silver Sentinel does not only look gimmick, he looks stunning.
Yes, his mystical beard really shines through.
I'd like to take just a second and talk to everybody about our special guest today, of course, and our I don't want to call him a sponsor, he's just a friend of the show, and that's HeroGear.org, guys. How many of you are ready to come out of the phone booth? If you're listening and you have nothing to wear but you want to be a superhero, that's probably because you don't know Jack. Now, I ain't saying you don't know what you're doing. I'm just saying you don't know Jack. I'm talking about Jack from HeroGear.org. Jack's got so many years in costume making, and he's spent the last 3 years creating some of the most iconic and heroic looks around. And believe me, heroes, he can do your justice image. Just send him your design or ask him for help in finding that perfect look for you. And in just a short time, that superhero seamster, who apparently has a perfect rear end, we'll have you
that's
find
what
the world.
He said.
And he'll do it for a very reasonable fee. Now remember, for that perfect super suit, it's www.hero-gear.org. HeroGear.org. It's where all the best dressed heroes shop.
That's where I went.
I'm going there too.
And believe me, he really doesn't have that nice of a butt. I, on the other hand, do.
Well, you know, that's why I wear a cape. It blocks that whole line of view thing, you know. It's just when you're after saving the world, you don't.
I thought we were keeping this PG.
You know, I don't write the commercial. I just read it.
Yeah, you can blame Jack for that one. I told him it was a stupid commercial, but would he listen to me? No.
Oh, well, you know, Jack. Well, you know, Midnight Detective, you're being awful quiet there.
What are some methods you have for raising charitable donations, Midnight?
Honestly, guys, I'm sorry. I have nothing tonight. I'm up to my hips in pharmacology right now listening in. So I apologize. If I had to do anything, the yard sale sounds great, and it would probably work well here, as well as the projects with school, get some of the other students involved. We know students like to get involved and be all activists. But that's all I got.
Yeah.
You know, another thing, speaking of schools, though, too, is something that I've thought about in the past, too, because we've done a lot of things with my kids' school here, is kids like to be involved in it if there's something interesting to them. I think you know, at the lower ages, not talking college age, we're talking middle school, high school, grade school. And if there was something that you could come up with for them to do and get involved, especially the younger kids, you know, because they, you know, kind of like superheroes and stuff. But if they knew that they could help superheroes, like maybe sell something or even just put together like some kind of presentation or something, you know, that's another thing.
Drive?
I had the craziest idea along that lines, Razorhawk. You might like this one.
Okay.
You've heard of the lockout program the Mustard Industry does. A few years back, actually, Crossfire was supposed to do it 2 years ago, but I actually had to work that day, so I wasn't there in costume. The year before that, I did it as Gizmo the Clown. They come and arrested the clown and put me in the jail for the Muscular Dystrophy. You know, just something colorful to do, bring a little attention to it. But I thought, you know, as a superhero, and we got the costume, we got the look, it'd be really great if we could like coordinate with the school and say we had 3 to 5 of the teachers that would work with us and present themselves as supervillains for the project, and say, okay, we've got which one of these people is the real supervillain, you know, and don't reveal it, but just like we know it's one of these 5 teachers, you know, and try and raise the money by saying, okay, whoever gets the most money is obviously the villain, you know, and with the kids, and here's the deal, you know, at an assembly we're going to come in here and I was looking at a website that showed how to make a homemade net gun, or use like a volleyball net, and you fire like a T-shirt cannon. I thought it would be great to go into an assembly and say, "It's Mr. Jones. The school has determined and snuffed it out. Mr. Jones is the supervillain crackhead, or whatever you want to call him, and come in here and shoot the net over him and drag him out in front of everybody, and the kids would love it."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that would be different. That would be such a fun idea, And of course,
I mean, like wildfire. That is uber creative. Way to go, Crossfire.
I definitely lean to the weird guy. So
I got an idea I'd like to throw out.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Going along this line of elementary school kids, you know how elementary school kids, they do this thing in the schools where they write letters to the soldiers who are serving in Iraq and Afghanistan and abroad?
Mm-hmm.
Why not we have those same elementary school children write to our homeless community people that we are helping out in Hope 2011? We could have the kids write letters or notes of encouragement to put in with the backpacks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
It wouldn't raise any money per se for the supplies, but I mean, these homeless people would go through the backpack and find this letter from a child saying, life is great, keep living it, and, be a positive little aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those.
He gives out the cards with his name on it that says friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talked about, I think there's 5 or 6 times that those cards have come back to him, that somebody died on the street and they found they still had that card months later. It means something to them. And that's just, it's like, wow, I can only imagine what a letter from a young child would do. Just when you think nobody cares, that's when you stop caring. But when you think somebody does care, it gives you hope, and hope is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Hope is the catalyst sometimes you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. When you lost hope, that's when you give up. That's when you don't keep going. That's when you just say, "To heck with this," and I'm done. There's no reason to go on. You've lost hope, but when you find that little glimmer of hope, that little spark, whether it's somebody that just calls you and says, "Are you okay?" Whether it's a card from somebody, whether it's a bottle of water on the street or a blanket, it can mean the difference between life and death. It can mean the difference between staying in the ditch and moving yourself up out of the streets and into life again.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think that when you're looking at the real life superhero movement here, or the community, and we're wanting to make impact on our communities, we can look at our crime situations as a flood coming in. And you could say, okay, there's 2 things you can do when you got water running into this community, like a flood. You can get out there with a bucket and sponge and try and bail it out, or you can start piling sandbags. And you'll look a whole lot more active and make a whole lot more splash, to use the pun, with the sponge and bucket. But when you pile up the sandbags, you make more impact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're doing when you're out there giving food to the homeless and helping them find jobs and find homes and stay warm and live. That's what you're doing when you're out there encouraging the kids to get away from the drugs. That's what you're doing when you're out there giving the people hope and giving them reasons to move on and helping them change their community from the bottom up, instead of just worrying about, oh, this guy's breaking the law, let's throw a rock at him, Let's not worry about the little pieces and parts here at the fringe. Let's get to the base of the problem. And the base of the problem is that people are hungry, people are cold, people are sick, people are dying, and people need something, they need somebody to build that dam to keep the flood away from them. And that's what we as a hero can do. And that's what projects like Hope 2011 are going to be able to do for our communities is be able to provide some hope to these people that are out there on the street. I mean, I have been as close to being on the street as I think you can get without being there. Some of you that read my blog and talked to me last week know that a little over a year ago, I got fired from my job by the owner of the building. The property wanted to give the job to his nephew, so he fired me.
Do you know if his nephew still has this job?
The nephew's been deported, and I had nothing to do with it at all. It's not justice, But that was just great. I mean, I didn't have to do anything. So that was great. He did good on his own. But the fact of the matter is, me and my wife and my daughters ended up, with no place to go. One of my daughters found a friend to live with that ended up having to drop out of college, and she spent a year getting her life in order. And my other daughter and my wife and me ended up staying in a camper, a deer camp trailer. Little bitty dinky thing. I slept on a little couch. It was about half as wide as me for 6 weeks while out looking for work and trying to get enough money to get to a place of our own. And we were only able to get to a place then because of the goodness of somebody else who allowed us to pay our rent and our deposits and stuff out pieces and parts until we caught up. So, and of course the food bank to make sure that we had something to eat while that was going on. So I can understand where they're coming from. And the great fear was that I was going to be living under a bridge and waiting for Thanatos to bring me something to eat, Even if I wasn't in Canada, I figured that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, a little walk there for them.
Yeah, I'm sure
Crossfire.
I mean, yeah.
You had, this is Midnight, you had another interesting post on your blog. You were talking about perhaps talking to the Christian summer camps and other people about putting up homeless.
Yeah, this idea, me and Silver Sentinel I first shared it with him. I thought, we're looking at people that are on the street needing a place to be. And I remember when the Hurricane Katrina came through, we got a whole mess of refugees. And one of the places they took them, one of the church camps opened up and put them up in there. They have like 300 to 500 beds at some of these places. And they got food service facilities and showers and everything they can need for, you're not going to want to live like there for years. But I thought, it'd be great if we could coordinate with one of these church camps, especially, some of the older ones, and say, you know what, you use the place 3 months out of the year. The other 9 months of the year, we'd like to set up some sort of a transitional program where we could bring these people in and give them a place to stay. We could arrange for them to receive mail. We could make sure they got food and water and showers and help them get, nicer clothes than they've got on the street, because places like Goodwill and that will help us get clothing for them. Help them find jobs and move into low-income apartments or these small motels and stuff like that and start getting themselves back on their feet and off the street, Because there's, I'm sure there are people that are on the street that really have no desire to try and get out of there. And there's not much you can do about them. But there are people that they don't want to be there. They're there because they have no choice. And if they just had just a little bit of help, they'll get off the street. And a program like this, you would get them out of the weather. You could take care of them. I mean, it would take some doing. But then again, you could also probably find some government grant money to help. I'm sure you could work with the area churches, and they might not be able to sponsor thousands of dollars, but, they might say, we'll take up a love offering to donate here, $200 or $300, or some churches would say, one Sunday a month we'll take up a special offering and send it to the program. And I think what you would see in the end is, I would predict 75% of the people that went into the program at the end of it would be on their own feet. And I think it's a very doable, it's a momentous task, but I think it's a very doable idea.
Mm-hmm. It is. It sounds realistic. I mean, if you can communicate with them, talk to them, and, if they're good Christian, they should be at least a little receptive to it, I would think.
You just have to watch out because I think some of those cabins that they have at the summer camps, they aren't designed for winter. So there'd be like little to no insulation in some areas. At least I know that at some summer camps that I went to, the cabins, there were just walls. There was no insulation in between it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it wouldn't be too hard, I would think, to insulate them and to put some sort of heat in there. I mean, it's got to be 10 times better than a blanket on the street.
Yeah,
at least they'd be out of the weather.
The day.
Yeah, being out of the wind alone is a real good thing.
Yes,
yeah,
but my parents actually have a cabin up north, and it doesn't have its own heat. It's got a wood stove for a heat source. Now, when they go up there, the very first time that you go up there, it is actually colder inside that cabin than it is outside.
Oh, yeah.
You have to wait an hour or so before before it reaches 40, and you can take your jacket off.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it can get colder inside a building than it can outside if you don't have a heat source in there.
And see, one of the things that I talked about in that little brainstorm when I was putting that out is if you take the people that are there and say, okay, we're going to bring you in here, but we're going to expect you to help out. You're going to help clean the kitchen. You're going to help, do the dishes or whatever, like to carry out the trash. They could also be, we've got you in cabin 1. We're going to insulate cabin 2. We need you to come work for us for a day, and we're going to put the insulation and stuff in there. And we're going to, just put them to work. And in the long run, they could actually improve the property while they're there.
And they would also pick up some valuable skills for maybe later on.
No doubt about it. And plus, it shows some initiative. If somebody just wants to get a free ride, well, we can send them to the Salvation Army. They've got places to go. Or with the people that's at the Salvation Army trying to move up, we can actually move them into the program and free up some of their resources at the same time. And they would, I'm sure, in the process, the place like the Salvation Army and Union Rescue Mission could help us screen the people that want the help and bring them into the situation. These camps have classrooms. They have community rooms and stuff like where they have their worship services and stuff that they could actually be turned into, like training rooms, classroom, or you could set up and say, okay, we've got these many jobs here available. I'm sure it wouldn't take a whole lot of work to get workforce services to bring somebody out once a week and talk to them and say, we got these jobs here we'd like to offer to you, or whatever. There's so much that could be coordinated into an opportunity like that, and it would be an ongoing, like an ongoing version of hope. 2011 years is hope forever, and it could be repeated. If you could do it here in Arkansas, where I'm at, it could be repeated in Oklahoma. It could be repeated in Ohio. It could be repeated in Canada, because everywhere I have ever lived, there have been churches and there have been church camps. And like I said, most of the year they're idle. Most of the year there's nothing going on there, and there's so many programs out there for funding. People want to help out, but they don't have any real good ideas. And we're looking at a situation where we're doing the first aid. When you go out and you give the sandwiches to the homeless people, when you go out and give the water bottles and the blankets, that's like you want it up on somebody that's hurt and you're doing first aid. What I'm looking at is moving it from the first aid and moving it into the area where they've been treated at the hospital and they're in rehab. And they're rehabilitating their life. We're not just putting the Band-Aids on, we're helping them get back into life. And at this point, I'm brainstorming it, trying to figure out how it could actually be done and what it would take. And, it's going to take, it's not an easy process. I don't think it would be easy at all to get to do, but I think it's completely doable. And I think once it's done, you'll be able to point and say, look over here at Project A. We want to do Project B. And then you've got two of them and say, well, we're going to do C and D, and before you know it, you see it across the country, and I bet the numbers start falling. And you know what I have found with people that are, when I was working at the motel, people that were working themselves out of homeless is what kind of inspired this. They would move into the hotel room there and stay there and cut their costs and earn money. But you know what I found out? They're not too proud to flip hamburgers. They're not too proud to clean toilets. They are not too proud to be out there with a shovel working, because they know that work means money, and they know that money means food and shelter. And it's the people that are too proud to put on that old McDonald's hat out there that are complaining that there's no jobs. When you're hungry, you do what you got to do, and they know that. The people on the street know that, and they'll get out there and they'll work. And you may find out 10 years down the road that somebody that you put through a program like this is still at McDonald's, but now they're the manager. They found a job and they stuck with it. And I think it's the next logical step, from the point of handing out water bottles and handing out blankets and handing out sandwiches. I think the next logical step is to put your hand out and help them up. And say, come on here with me. I'm going to help you out here. These people here, we're going to take you in. We're going to make sure you have food. We're going to make sure you have shelter. And we're going to help you get back on your feet. And I think this church camp idea is a very workable way to do it. The biggest issue I could see is transportation, because a lot of times they're about 20 minutes or more from town. So, you'd have to have some sort of shuttle bus. But it's something that can be done. And let's see, looks like we've lost somebody. Looks like Midnight Detective's not with us anymore. No, Midnight Detective is.
I'm still here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Looks like we lost Skyman. Okay. I think we lost Skyman. I was kind of hoping to talk to him a little bit more about his week this week. He's had an interesting week, and we had some drama there going with the horrible news story out of the West Coast about real life superheroes. Not a very well planned up. They obviously needed 5 minutes to fill, but he had actually went and investigated the story and the people involved, and I just kind of was going to get his take on that. RAZORHAWK, we still got you here. So you kind of gave us the rundown on Hope 2011. Just as we're closing down here, any of the ideas we talked about today, just if you were going to give some suggestion on how to start a Hope 2011 local event, what would you tell them?
Well, what I would say is that the first thing you got to do is have the information that you need for your local area. Because, I mean, in some areas it's more difficult than others to actually find a lot of people to help. Like, for instance, here in Minnesota, Geist and I will go out and be out for 7 hours in downtown Minneapolis, and you'll deal with maybe 2 to maybe as much as 7 people during a regular, 7-hour patrol. So here, that was one of the reasons that I wanted to do this out in San Diego, because of the difference in the large amount of difference of how many people are out there. But you can find the places where people are most affected in your town, and then kind of set up accordingly to that. And the best thing to do once you find where they're at and how many there are, you can get a little more intel on it and what they need. Because that was one of the big things with Hope 2011 was people in San Diego are going to need certain things that are going to help them out. And it's one of my thoughts is that we need to help out with more than just food and water. For instance, out there you can use sunscreen, they can use fresh clothes are always a good thing, fresh socks is a big thing. So that would be the next step, is to figure out what you would be giving out in your local area. And then, of course, you can contact like Atavistic or myself and say, we're planning on doing it here. Well, then it's a matter of, okay, now we need to recruit people in our area to help us out. If you know the local RLSHs, or if there are some that are within driving distance of you, you can always contact them and say, come on down, we're going to be doing this. And then you can start, raising money in whatever way you choose to do so. You can do any of these ideas that I myself or any of the other people like Crossfire and Skyman had suggested, and start raising money. You don't have to do exactly what we're doing out in San Diego, because that's, going a little bit further, I think, than most small town or smaller towns would have going on. Not necessarily having to put together backpacks full of stuff, but at least having food and water to pass around, or going to, this is one that just came up tonight because I just found out, is there's a gentleman named Radnor out in California, and he just announced this evening that he has a place that's donating 500 sandwiches for Hope 2011. Now, you could, in your town, maybe go to like a Jimmy John's or a Subway or something like that and talk to their management. A lot of those are owner-operator places, are franchises, and they can offer to do something like that, like say, well, we're going to be out, we expect to encounter, 50 homeless people or 100 homeless people. Could you make us 50 or 100 sandwiches and donate that? Can, let people know that you're involved with what we're doing. That's one of the big ones when you're dealing with talking to organizations or talking to businesses, is to let them know that they're going to get something out of it. And like in our case, we do have a couple of different groups that are nonprofits, so we can also offer to get them paperwork so they can report it on taxes, as well as we tell them that if you sponsor us by giving us backpacks or sleeping bags or whatever, we'll put your logo on our website as an official sponsor. We'll put them on flyers that we pass out, stuff like that, because they're going to look a lot of times for that kind of payback, I guess.
Cool. We got about 3 minutes left on the main show. If anybody wants to stay online and continue this, just don't hang up when after the music finishes. We'll go into that. I do want to go on ahead and give out this week's mission assignment. It's something I was inspired by Geist, RAZORHAWK's partner here. This is being the week before Thanksgiving. The food banks in the areas are definitely needing donations. One of the things that in our area, I know they're trying to get turkey dinners for the families that are low income. So the challenge this week, if you choose to accept this, is to make a food donation, to take a grocery bag full of food or a turkey or something to your local food bank, deliver it, and when you get there, offer an hour of your service. Just say, is there something I can do, clean up, carry out trash, help box stuff up for you, anything I can do to help. I've got about an hour or whatever. I'd like to donate. And guys, there's a bonus for you. You get extra points if you do it in your gimmick, guys. That's Geist.
Credit.
In the interview. Geist was in the story.
Do I get credit for doing it last week?
Yep. So go on ahead and make the donation. Donate your time, donate your food if you do it in costume and gimmick. Bonus points, and share it with us. Share it on your blog. Share it with us next week when you call in. This week, as we're getting ready to wrap up, we got about 2 minutes. Those of us in the drop zone, we have lost a total of 8 pounds this week, 10 pounds total. So we're going to keep this weight loss going, and before it's all done, we'll be able to talk to Hero Gear and make our own order for some super suits, because we all know that spandex is a privilege, not a right. And when you're the master of the flying walrus, you don't want to be in spandex.
So that's why I wear a winter jacket. Also because it's cold, but mostly because, not just because it's cold.
Definitely, you got to cover some stuff. Now we're going to wrap it up. I got a little special music donated to the members of the real life superhero community in honor of Hero Gear and his quality work. Here's our closing music. Those of you who want to stay on, like I said, stay on the line, and we'll continue this in a after class session.
We're men in light. We roam around the forest looking for light. We're men in time. We run from the rich and give to the poor, that's right. We may look like cities, but what would you say, or else we'll put out your light. We're men in light. Always on guard, defending the people's rights. La 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 from the rich and give to the poor, that's right. We may look like candy, but don't get us wrong or else we'll put out your light. We're men in tight, tight. Always on guard, defending the peaceful cry. When you're in a fix, just call for the men in tight. We're much.
That's Superhero Academy for this week, guys. Girls, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for calling in. Thank you for being part of the show. And look, we got about 9 seconds, and everybody's staying after class. I want to hear your mission reports from last week. We still got everybody here?
I'm here.
I'm here. I have to get going.
Midnight's here.
Oh.
Okay. Now, last week we did our mission assignment. I didn't really get into it. It was just a simple thank you assignment, is what we called. Those of you that were listening in or downloaded or whatever, your challenge was to find 5 people a day and just say thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank your waitress for doing a good job. Thank your police officer for what he does. Thank you. You know, just take time and let people know they're appreciated for the work they do. And for some of us, like in the night shift, for me, it's hard for me to find 5 people that are still awake, you know. And they're not real happy when you call them, wake them up, and say thank you. But how many of y'all had a chance to do this week and actually saw some awesomeness out of it?
Yeah, this is Midnight. Yeah,
Midnight.
I did it this week. We pretty much do it every day here in the Midwest. I mean, you know, you're from Arkansas, but we went a little further on it, and yeah, it was nice to see their faces. You know, they lit right up. Really appreciate it. Make their day a little bit happier.
Yeah, I was unaware of this one, so I didn't do it. Well, I mean, any more than normal, like midnight thing.
Like midnight thing, it's an ongoing thing. I've been doing it for quite some time. When I try to make an effort to when I go to a restaurant or grocery store or whatever, especially if they're having an obvious bad day.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, you know, you go to Walmart and the checker has obviously had to deal with the slow lady with the coupons, like in her sister and other sister, you know, because she's that day that she's like, if I see one more coupon, I'm going to shoot somebody, you know. You just want to.
I always do it at Walmart because I know it's usually their bosses that do it, and since I used to work for their bosses, I stand up for them all the time, and so yeah, it's just like. Some of the best ones to do at Walmart, though, is to, you know, let them know what a tool their boss is, and they really seem to appreciate that.
I have friends that work at Walmart, and they really like talking about how much of a tool their boss is, too. I think it makes them feel a lot better when they can get that out.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a non-violent way of doing it.
The local Walmart here, I talked to Holder's side. I said, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your store here. I said, because, you know, for one thing, I said, I go to the store over at Pine Bluff where I came from, and when you see an employee, they've got, I think it's a 10-foot rule. If you come within 10 feet of them, they have to ask you how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, you know, you can't break the 10-foot bubble. If you try to get close to these employees and they start backing away like you're on fire, you know.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, come on, I need help here, you know, I'm on fire, you know. But,
the master will frown upon us.
The store where I go to now, the people, a lot of times, you know, that I've been in to get stuff, it's like they want to help more than I need the help. And it's like, I just want to thank them, you know, just for being so helpful and not being the I've got to get away from the customer type that I was used to dealing with. And it just, you know, you saw the look on her face that's like, you know, this confusion, like, why is this person being nice to me, you know? But it changes them, you know, that little thank you project.
Yeah, when you work there, you do get that feeling as to why are these people being nice? I was taken aback by that many times.
I can imagine. You couldn't pay me to work at Walmart this week. Ever since 2 years ago when that Walmart guy on the day after Thanksgiving was opening the doors and got trampled to death.
Mm-hmm.
I remember sitting there trying to figure out some sort of device you could hang over the door that you could put like a safety harness on the guy so when you unlock the door, it yank you back, you know.
That would actually be kind of cool.
You know?
We're doing it in shifts this year at our local Walmart. They're only letting a few people in every few minutes, so we'll see.
Yeah, see, our Walmart up here never gets that bad. The 2 years that I worked there, we never, on the actual Black Friday, never had people, like, pushing to get into the store. I mean, it was...
I could have no groceries in the house, be starving to death, and I will not go to a store on Black Friday.
Yeah. I used
horrible.
to. I like to go and laugh at people.
I got two bicycles a couple of years ago on Black Friday, and oh my gosh, it was a feeding frenzy. It was like the running of the bulls, you know.
Mhm. People are not.
I don't get up to
that. Oh, yeah, I'm just glad I don't work in those places right now because, yeah, it can be really annoying, especially, like, for me, I was managing the electronics department, and you know how a lot of the big, whatever you call them, blowout things or whatever would always be in electronics. And, people would almost... Mm-hmm. So you'd have to, why don't you have this?
I like Gray Man's boss's idea. He works at a sporting store in here, a gun shop, and they asked what they were going to do for Black Friday, and the boss was very straight, and he meant it. We're not opening up until 12:30 in the afternoon because they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. It's sad. I mean, but the other, the bigger companies, the national brands are going to be, counting on that frenzy right from the start. And I think it's so funny because with our Walmart, we never really got that big amount of people coming in. And, later on in the day, the store would be busy, but the blowouts didn't really bring people in.
When I hear about the crowds at the Walmarts on days like this, I think about this old street performing trick that I learned about from street magicians. Is you take a can of lighter fluid and you empty the lighter fluid out and wash it out real good, but fill it with water. And so you walk outside with that bottle of lighter fluid. You spray it on the ground around the door. With that water, and you stand there with the match, and the people will back up.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine so.
And I'm like, that's just a great idea.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the bosses probably wouldn't look too favorably upon it, though.
You know what? They're not the ones opening the door.
That's true. They're the ones cowering in the back of the store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had some especially bad management, so when I was there, it was horrible.
The one I'm used to in Pine Bluff is probably unique in some ways because Pine Bluff's one of the worst places in the country for crime, and seriously, Walmart it probably loses more in shoplifting than it sells, I think, over there because it's unreal, And a relative of mine used to do shoplifting security for him over there, and 4 or 5 times a shift, in 8-hour shift, he'd catch somebody and shoplifting and send them to jail, It's just actually, go into the paperwork, send the next one, And there's no telling him the abducted. And of course, he'd sneak along. He had with the little pegboards. He would drill the holes out so he'd see through them better, and he'd be on one side looking through at the other, watching people steal stuff. Yeah. Had the guy on camera talking to him on radio, spotting people for him, and it was like this whole big Mission Impossible deal that he had going on.
Yeah. That tends to be the operating procedure of the loss prevention there.
Yeah. He would get a grocery cart and push it through the store and put stuff in and out of it like he was shopping, so he didn't know what he was doing security.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, he'd move stuff around the store just to annoy the employees that bugged him.
Yeah.
So it'd just back up. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, I've got a friend that does that right now, as a matter of fact, at the local one. And that's how he operates. He'll walk around like he's buying stuff, and then he'll just dump them places just so people have to work harder.
I joke I don't like to go in there on Good Friday, but it's almost a tradition for me to go in there on Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go in and walk through the store just getting everybody's way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's childish, I know, but it's like, I'll walk through and just, stop and look at stuff and just stand in the way and push your cart around and pick up the aisle and just you haven't done your Christmas shopping already. You don't want to be around me. We all have our little things that we do that are wrong, but that's mine. I like to be the Christmas Eve guy that makes everybody miserable at Walmart.
Yeah.
If there's one of an item and somebody's trying to get to it, I'll put it in my cart and put it back later.
I've done that before.
It's,
I used to like doing that to the collector people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go in.
I started doing that the year Tickle Me Elmo came out. We had put two of those on layaway for our girls, and we went to pick them up out of layaway. At this point, they were selling on eBay for like $10,000 a piece. And we're like, we're going to get our stuff out of layaway. And you know what? It was already out of layaway. Nobody knew where it went.
Oh.
I was mad.
Yeah.
They couldn't find our layaway. We had our receipts, so they gave us our money back. But it's like, our little $20 Tickle Me almost got valuable real quick.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason they don't do.
I my kid Christmas for $10,000. No, nobody was sends their butts.
Wow. Excuse me.
RAZORHAWK, I come up with an idea that I kind of teased it a little bit on your little section of the show. But, I'm going to try and get a whole bunch of real-life superheroes to give me a sound clip saying, man, you don't know Jack. That's gonna be
very few of us do.
What's wrong with your suit? You don't know Jack.
Yeah, so few of us do know Jack.
Yeah. I probably don't know Jack too well.
Sadly.
I know that, dude.
I see him way too much. He annoys me. So usually I just tell him to go stand in the corner and I'll do my stuff and he can do his.
Yeah, I look over my closet and I see Gilroy and I see Gizmo and I see Jack. I have a Jack too, Jack Rabbit. He's the Easter Bunny. And then, of course, and I even have my Navy cruise jacket. And I used to laugh, my little closet there, if you looked in, you had my Jester outfits and my clown outfits and my seasonal suits like Santa and the Easter Bunny and my kilt and my Navy jacket. And then on the far side of the closet was my daughter's prom dress. That's just, anybody open that closet would just be like in therapy for years.
Yeah.
You look at the prom dress, it wasn't mine because I could get my leg in it, and that's it. Oh goodness.
I've personally never tried to wear a prom dress.
I want to thank you for coming in here last minute. Superhero had that scheduling conflict. I was glad to get you in here, and this is a good show. And I'm gonna, what I talked to you about online the other day, I'm gonna try and contact those people and see about getting you that interview about Hope 2011. I think that would be some good publicity. I'm not going to spoil it here because. Yeah, we're going to see where it goes first because they might just giggle at us and not want it, but it seemed like a good possibility, for the for their program as well as for your needs. I'm sure we hashed out a few good fundraising ideas and some.
Oh, definitely.
We'll revisit this again, I'm sure, before it's all said and done, because this is a recurring thing. I'm sure when we get Thanatos online, we'll talk about the homeless and fundraising again. And he's got a standing invite to be a co-host, visiting professor. We also have
a perfect one for it.
I have a standing invitation for a gentleman named Octavius Fong.
Yay, Fong!
Come in and take over the show. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Reverend Tom Fury and Octavius Fong had permission to come in and stage a coup one night.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah, I can't even wait for that one. Here in 3 weeks, on the 12th, I have a guest coming in from a place called Power Capes. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, Jack. They they're not really competition with you, but they're in the same line of work. They make these little superhero suits for children.
Mm-hmm.
They donate these power capes.
I think I know who they are.
They donate to the kids that have cancer and such. And I contacted them. One of them is their representative is going to come on and visit with us and share what they do and ways that we can help and ideas like that. I thought that was a pretty good group. I'm trying to get the leader of. The what?
Are they the ones that do the capes where they go? You pick out the cape color and then you pick out the shape of their symbol and then what letter they want to put in it or something like that?
Website? Yeah. I think so. They got a website where you little generator you can get just basically call their little thing and design what cape you want there. And I think they do a T-shirt that goes with it and
yeah. I know who they are. I've been to their site before.
Yeah, it's and their charity works what really intrigues me more than anything because, it's just, firsthand how good it is to give a kid that's a super suit, that's having a difficult time, how you can help if you did that, donate the super suit to the young man whose parents died.
Yeah. That was really, really cool. I felt so bad for that kid, though.
And there's a lot of need like that out there. I'm also trying to get, if we should coordinate a Sunday off, the leader of the local Star Wars fan force here in Little Rock. The Stormtroopers here are charity machines. Now, they are doing events left and right. They actually, just a couple weeks ago, I would love to have been there to see this. The Stormtroopers went out and did a roller skating thing at this roller skating arena. I said, I would love to see Stormtroopers on skates out there rolling around.
Are they affiliated with the 501st?
Yes. Some of the members are part of the 501st, and some of them are not. If you go to my Facebook, I think I've got links to some of the pictures where 2 years ago I did the Fill the Bus event with them. And Santa Claus and Darth Vader doing the force lightning at each other in one of the photo manuscripts that somebody did for me. But it's actually from a photo where me and Darth Vader were facing off against each other. The news crews came out that day and did the Film the Bus thing, and we actually were on the news that night. I had a lightsaber, and Darth Vader and me were me dressed as Santa Claus, and we were out there having a lightsaber battle on the evening news. And I'm like, I tell my kids, see, anybody thinks their folks are weird, you only have to point to that. There's nobody got a weirder dad than yours, and you know it. So,
my kids kind of get right in there with having the weird dad. Because on top of doing all this, it's the doing the wrestling and stuff, and walking around bleeding and stuff in front of people, and they've had their share.
How many normal people? How many normal people are remembered 20 years down the road?
That's true.
A normal person passes away in their sleep at 70, and they're missed by their family and that. But the weird person gets killed on a jet rocket bicycle.
They
make TV shows about them. It's like, you were involved in an accident involving a hamster and a bungee cord, It's like, what the heck, I don't even know how that accident would go, but that sounded interesting. But that's, it's the unusual people that make an impact a lot of times, And of course, at the same time, you got the people in the background that are just live such sacrificial lives, and they even tend to stand like Mother Teresa. There's probably not a more normal person, if you looked at them as what they did than her. But at the same time, if I had nominated somebody for real life superhero, she'd be definitely one of them. She was just an amazing person. I felt the same way about Pope John Paul. I'm not even Catholic, and those two are just personal heroes of mine. But
there's there's some people out there that do some really good stuff, and you sometimes don't even know about it.
Oh, exactly.
I get surprised whenever I find, someone who's gone out and actually turned out that you didn't think anything of them, and then you find out that they've donated like thousands and thousands of dollars to like some kids fund or something like that. And I think that's just awesome.
What was that radio host? I'm Don Imus.
Yeah.
He made a big deal in the news a while back because he said something about a nappy-headed basketball player or something that offended somebody.
Yeah.
And I actually did a blog about this because it's like, yeah, he was rude, he's crude, but that's what they expected of him. And so the people got their feelings hurt. They didn't get nothing out of it except getting him fired, and they thought they pulled something off. I said, but here's the sad thing is that he used that radio show every year to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars that went to a camp where they paid in full for these kids that have cancer to go to camp.
Yeah.
And some of these kids would not even live another year. And this is their last chance. Something special. And he's raising the money. And so these basketball players got their feelings hurt. Yeah, they got their way. But how much did it cost?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how much did it cost? Because, yeah, he's a jerk. I didn't like listening to him. But you got to admire the fact that he used the venue that was given to him to raise money for these kids and to provide something positive for these kids. And I haven't heard what the status of his whole charity is now since all that went down, but it's just another example of, creative fundraising, creative charity, and making the world a better place. And you can do it. You jerk on the radio like a Howard Stern or a Don Imus and do it. You can be a saint like Mother Teresa and do it. You can be a pope like Pope John Paul and do it. You can be a superhero seamster with the knife behind is how you describe yourself, like Jack can do it.
Exactly.
Or you can be a weirdo in a Santa suit out there fighting Darth Vader doing it,
Yep.
It's just, it's a matter of...
There's millions of ways. Oh, yeah, there's millions of ways to do good things.
And there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no
manual yet.
If you looked at my blog yesterday, I posted a picture of Marvel superheroes that had like thousands of them going in the background. And I said, guess what? I checked my comics, and there's hundreds of different characters, and they're all different. Guess what? Sarcasm added. It's a real class superhero movement. We're all different. We have different goals. We have different looks. We have different missions. Just because I don't do it your way doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong. If we did everything the same, you're all
that's
right.
a real shame about the whole thing, because it just takes one bad day, one stupid little screw-up that ordinarily wouldn't amount to much, and their public opinion's on you. Every good thing you do just goes to the back, and that one dumb thing comes up front.
Yeah.
I pointed out that if we did everything the same way, there'd be no need for Baskin-Robbins to have 51 flavors. and if you don't like the way I'm doing something, go down to Baskin-Robbins and get your own ice cream cone. I'm doing my thing.
I miss Baskin-Robbins.
Don't worry about whether I got sprinkles on mine or not,
I got to drive 2 hours to get to a Baskin-Robbins, so.
Really?
Yeah,
we used to have them all over up here, and we haven't had them in years. So when I was out in California this year, we found one, and it was like,
I think
of course, it's kind of like
now is that Stone Cold Creamery.
Yeah, we've got one of those, which is okay, but I miss Baskin-Robbins.
Never been to one. We don't have them in Missouri, where I was from. So.
Really?
I've actually got to get down here, and where we just moved, they actually have a gelato restaurant.
Oh.
There's Italian ice cream.
What's that?
I can't explain it. It's like heaven in a bowl. I mean,
I'll have to Google it then.
Gelato is it's Italian for ice cream, and the way they make it is just different. When I was overseas, I was just like addicted to gelato, and then I come back to the States, and I couldn't get a decent, you couldn't get gelato, couldn't get a decent cappuccino, and it's like, I want to go back to Italy, you know. And folks here in the States don't know how bad we got it sometimes. Of course, they don't know how good we got it other times, but the stuff that we get for pizza, that's American pizza. Italian pizza is different. The stuff that we get for ice cream is different from Italian ice cream or French ice cream. Everywhere you go in the world, things are a little bit different. And I lived 3.5 years in Gaeta, Italy, just south of Rome, between Rome and Naples. Spitting distance from where Antomo lives. And I talked to it ever so often with little bits of information I know about Naples.
I've seen pictures of all of us, and it's probably a good thing we don't have a gelatos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go without gelato.
And of course, it's not all the unhealthy stuff that I missed from over there. When I was over there, I'd love to get a hold of a bag of blood oranges, which I haven't seen here in the States. They're just so delicious. The oranges, they're just so sweet. They look horrible when you cut them open the first time. I thought it was rotten. I threw it away. And I kind of found out they're supposed to look like that on the inside. But, guys, I want to thank you. RAZORHAWK, thank you again for being here with us. And Detective, thank you. We've been about 30 minutes. I think we've pretty much covered this for now. Anybody who's downloading this, listen to this, check out the blog, the Crossfire Academy for Superheroes, or Superhero Academy blog. You can link to it from the show page here. Do tell your friends about this, share it on Facebook or whatever. We're going to be back here every week. Next week we're going to be talking about everyday issues, everyday ways to protect the environment with a gentleman by the name of Tree Song. Everybody loves some Tree Song.
Hey. Cool.
The week after, we're supposed to have our makeup visit from Superhero. We'll be talking about police, real-life superhero relationships. We're going to be talking about weapons, concealed carry, and such like that. Since he is the most visible superhero community member that has a concealed carry and wears a weapon on patrol at times. We're going to talk about Team Justice and what they do. The week after that, we got Power Capes, and the week following that, I am probably going to bypass having a guest professor, and I'm thinking about talking about something a little Christmassy and real-life superhero at the same time, and doing a little show about the actual St. Nicholas and what he did, because if you look at what he did and compared to some of the stuff we do, you might find some interesting parallels. I may or may not have a guest host on here for that one. And then, of course, by that time, it'll be New Year's. And so we're kind of booked up to the end of the year. I'm going to try and get the Stormtroopers in here. I'm trying to get somebody from the St. Baldrick's Association. It's a group of women that do the Locks for Love thing every year.
Oh.
They've got children and nieces and nephews and such. And they're on Facebook as a 46 Mother Shave for the Brave. And I'm trying to get somebody from that group and talk about, doing just the grow your hair out, How hard is that to be heroic, And what kind of impact that has. I want to see if we can't get some people like some groups like Mothers Against Drunk Driving or some different homeless shelters and such like that, as well as other members of the real-life superhero community. Any suggestions that y'all have for guests, just leave me a note on the show page. Any suggestions that they might have you leave on my blog page, which is Fire by Night on Blogger. And also, if you're checking out my Blogger pages for the show, for the Academy, and for just my random thoughts, also skip over and check out the the Superhero Bible Study. If they reposted something I did a while back, where we I took different superhero characters and used them as a segue into some Bible lessons, and we had a lot of fun with that. So I want to plug that. Again, check out the Hope 2011. What's that website again?
Hope 2011.info.
Go check that out. And those of you that think you might want to start a Hope 2011 event in your area, check that page out, see what you can do, check with your local area. Heck, I'd suggest trying to do a ride-along with the police and get to know what's going on in your area, find out where the homeless might be that could use your help, whether it's in your town or the next town over, and see what you can do. And if you can't do something, there's not something for you to do locally, see what you can do to send to Hope 2011's main site and help RAZORHAWK out there at Comic-Con. We're about 30 minutes over. Like I said, I think we've covered it, and I want to thank Midnight Detective. I want to thank RAZORHAWK for staying on for the After Dark. I want to thank Golden Valkyrie and Silver Sentinel, Skyman for calling in, and Malvado. I know you were in the chat, and they'll probably download this later, so I want to thank you for stopping by the chat and saying hello. I didn't talk to you on there, but I appreciate your input, and we'll be back next week, hopefully with less technical issues. Yeah,
hey, just a reminder, don't forget Comic-Con tickets go on sale in the morning for anyone that's going to that with the Hope 2011, so don't forget to get to your tickets.
Okay, Comic-Con tomorrow.
6 a.m.
Boing, boing. There goes my engineer having problems again. I think we pretty much wrapped.
Yes, and I'd have gotten away with it, too. If it wasn't for these blasted kids and their dogs.
Sadly, I don't have near the stuff on the switchboard that I wanted because I set it for Superhero. So I didn't have time to think about what I wanted to do for RAZORHAWK. But I try to, put some little fun stuff in there.
Kind of grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it?
And I thank you all. And I'm going to wrap this up and hang up. You guys, thanks for calling in. Do sound off over on the RLSH.net message board about the homeless idea that we were talking about. You got some stuff to add to that, like we talked about tonight. I think this church camp idea is something that we could definitely pursue, whether it happens here where I'm at or somewhere else. I don't care if somebody takes my idea and runs with it because that's why I put it out there. I'd like to see us, you want to call it a refugee camp or whatever you want to call it, but find a way to turn something like that around. I think that the possibility is there. There's so much that can be done with existing things instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. So we're going to call this a wrap, put it in the can. This has been the Superhero Academy. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks for staying after. RAZORHAWK, good luck on the 2011, and we'll try to have you on again as things progress. Do feel free to call in every week and give us an update on it if you want, and we'll continue to make sure that everybody gets your information for hero gear, because we'll make sure that they ain't out there having people tell them they don't know Jack, because we'll make sure everybody knows Jack, okay?
All right, thank you.
And y'all have a good day, and God bless. Talk to you later.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.